Here we go.
This is going to be fun.
I'm Matthew Kemps with Lone Wolf Realtor Group at eXp Realty, and this is
Todd Bailey, the founder of the collective at eXp.
And today we're going to go over the 5 keys to success in 2025 for all real estate agents. So Todd, I'm going to have you go over the first one, but the 5 key: mindset, deal flow, buyer presentation, listing presentation, and being the local economist of choice. All right, Todd, let's jump right into mindset.
Yeah, mindset's number one, right? We put it as number one because it is number one, and I think that it's a tricky thing, and it takes a lot of mental stamina to be in this business, and you have to get up every single day, get in the right mindset to do what it takes. And it doesn't take a lot, right? It doesn't take more than a couple of hours to really move the real estate needle. But what I see over and over again is people not getting in the right mindset, not spending the time to, put the right stuff into their mind. And, I think it's really, really important what you're listening to, who you're around, and, really kind of staying positive. Because, you've seen it too with your teammates and with people that you're around that without the right mental attitude, it's a challenge. It's a big, massive challenge.
We've had several people on the team that have just had personal issues go around, and it's definitely going to be done caused from limiting beliefs where other things may get involved in life, and it's just the worst thing to put yourself in a downward spiral in this, specifically in this industry. So for me, limiting beliefs is like one of the biggest things. Build your confidence from knowing exactly what to say, going through all the different processes, which is going to be the number 2, 3, 4, and 5 things that we're going to talk about today. But mindset being the overall big picture that we're going to kind of chat about.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I always like to talk about is, being around the people that and I said this just a minute ago, but you become like the 5 people you're around most. And my real estate career really took a huge jump forward when I found a really good mentor who really believed in me. And my mom and dad have always believed in me, right? But having that like third party mentor that really believed in me and pointed me in the right direction, helped me create a business plan, all the things, and kind of kept me in that good mental attitude, because it's so easy we all suffer from it, right? Go ahead.
With all that being said, we're going to be scheduling an event with my business coach. His name is Sky Streety. We're going to be scheduling an event for it to be in February. This is going to be both on Zoom and in person. The first 60 people that do register will be able to come in person. The additional will have to be on Zoom due to limitations that we have in the room. The link to sign up will be starting next week. So we'll include that down below in the comments, and feel free to register for that.
Wait. Fill me in on this. I don't even know about this event yet.
Okay, so basically what it is the number one thing that I worked on with Sky, and humbly I say this too, I don't have a ton of limiting beliefs. That doesn't mean I'm cocky or anything else, but I built enough confidence in through the things that how I'm exactly saying things. I have my listing presentation down. I have my buyer presentation down. So the limiting beliefs that I had were minimal. But this is something I kind of helped the entire team and the organization with that we have.
Wait, can I jump in right there?
Yeah.
One of the things that we're also talking about, that we're going to talk about, is creating these processes that are going to help you build confidence, right? So that goes right back to your mindset, just what Matt nailed, like knowing exactly what to say when somebody has an objection or, kind of confuses you. Knowing what to say, that's going to build confidence and help build this mindset that we're talking about. So keep going. I'm sorry about that.
You bet. So that entire event is going to kind of help you with the whole mindset on the psychology side of things and how you look at the industry specifically. And that's what I've been working on with my coach over the last year. So you'll be able to have a free event where we're going to take care of the cost of bringing on Sky Streety. Register for that event. Again, it'll be down below in the comments.
Sweet. Free event.
There you go.
I'm going too.
And then last portion I kind of want to cover here on mindset. Would you agree that real estate is 90% mental, 10% physical?
Yeah.
The 10% physical are things you can control, and there's some that you can't control. It's very much like golf in that way.
Yeah. There's so many things you can't control, and we try to control it. And the reality is we're dealing with people in the trickiest time of their lives. Death, divorce, diapers, diamonds, these are the things that drive our industry. And there's so many things that are out of our control that kind of letting go of that and using your mindset to control what or work on what you actually can't control is a massive thing.
And then to that point, data creates curiosity, emotion makes decisions, which goes back to the mindset.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I think that's a little tricky for people to understand.
Okay. When I say data creates curiosity, we're actually going to have this flow back into the next portion, which is going to be deal flow. If you are able to provide enough data to your clients to create that deal flow you're looking for, from what's the current price per square foot in this area, how many homes are available in 78704, how many listings are coming on market every single week, how many months of inventory do we currently have. This kind of data that you're able to provide, and when it comes to talking about what type of offer to make or what should our list price be, this is how you're going to start creating conversations on your deal flow, and that's where the data starts the curiosity. And then once you have the data to start the curiosity, the emotion of the end buyer or consumer or seller or whatever you want to call it ultimately ends up making the decision.
I think, yeah, and so another trick, and I don't know where we're going to put all these in, right? But inevitably, when you're talking to somebody and they know you're a real estate agent, they're going to ask you, well, Matt, how's the market? And what does every agent always say? Oh, it's great. It's
best time to buy ever.
Yeah, best time to buy ever. Or, oh God, it's terrible, blah, 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 or whatever they have to say. Actually having Matt, funny you ask. I was just doing some research on, a South Austin zip code. I mean, wherever you are, right? Whether it's South Austin or Denver, Colorado. Like, I was just doing some research on the Denver area, and, really there's been a really nice uptick in, sales in the price point between $1 million and $2 million. But why do you ask? Do you have more curiosity about it?
And then talking like, okay, right now it's really going to be a buyer's market. We got about 2.3 months of inventory in the neighborhood you're looking in. And, we're seeing homes move basically for every 9 homes that get listed, basically 4 selling. So we're going to have another competition with those 5 other homes. So if you're considering buying that area, it's going to be a great opportunity. If you're considering listing, we're going to need to focus on how strategic we are in our pricing and how we're doing our marketing. What's our condition like? Which then we're going to kind of dive down to here in a little bit. So we kind of talked about mindset and talking about deal flow. Let's dive a little bit more into deal flow, get away from this kind of mindset talk. How do you create deal flow directly?
Yeah.
And what is deal flow?
Okay, so deal flow is your lead, right? So if you're an agent, you've got multiple ways to find people that want to buy and sell houses, right? So deal flow to me, it's always been who you're hanging around. My sphere and the people that I run around with, when they transact, it's a much easier transaction than if it's a cold lead coming from Zillow or a cold lead coming from the internet. You don't know them. Maybe they're giving you your cell phone number and you have to cold call them. So for me, deal flow is all about your sphere, right? And any real estate agent out there should have a database with at least, I think 250 is the right magical number of people in your database that you can really curate those relationships. And that can be anyone from your doctor, your lawyer, your person that does your nails, nail technician, to your next door neighbor, the person across the street. Everybody in your ecosphere that you know, like, and trust should also know that you are the local real estate agent and that you are there to help them when they're ready. That's what I mean by deal flow. Deal flow is transactions, and you have to do this. It's more important to work on deal flow than it is to write a contract. I'm going to say that again. It is more important to work on lead generation, deal flow, whatever you want to call it, than it is to write a contract. Because the contract you're writing today is not going to help you get business down the road. You need to be working on deal flow every single day when you're in this business.
Couldn't agree more. So the way that I started in real estate was actually a little bit different than Todd. I was new to Austin, didn't have
much smarter way, I'm sure, by the way.
Whatever you want to call it. Was a little bit different. So I didn't have a giant sphere here to work off of, which I think a lot of people who are going to be watching this are going to be kind of relate to this. So how do I start building, quote unquote, that SOI? How do I build that database? How do I build the amount of people I could possibly have? So yes, I did start with Zillow. I looked at a brokerage that had Zillow to start with, build it that way. I did have internet leads, and I started converting those. But when I did convert those, the idea was that it wasn't a transactional transaction. It was I built a relationship. So when I built that relationship, it then creates the referrals from that person, and then it basically snowball effect with multiple different people. Think of it like a family tree. So let's say I close the house with John. John then refers me to Susie, and Susie then refers me to Billy Bob, John, and another John, and then another Todd. And it just kind of keeps doing a little family tree when you look at it. So now I have all these different places of how I'm getting referrals because I started with internet leads and convert them that way. Another way we're talking about deal flow or prospecting, whatever word you want to end up using, is going to be a cold call scenario. So you're going to have probate calls, you're going to have expireds, you're going to have for sale by owners, for rent by owners, if you want to go that route. And there's multiple different strategies that we can put in play. So if you click down below in the comments and say, please send me your listing presentation and send me your script book, we're more than happy to do that. And while we're talking about that, do us a favor when you see the subscribe button and the alerts, click those alerts so you get notified every single time that we have a new video, and then click that subscribe so you're also notified when we have new videos that come out. Feel free to also share this with anyone else who you think this might be helpful for, so we can additionally help as many other agents as we possibly can.
Yeah, so let's go back to a little bit about what you were talking about. Yes, subscribe to this channel. We'd love that. No, like and comment. We'd love that as well. When you get a client, right, we label them as past client. That's the worst thing you can think about. Like, they're not past clients. They're clients for life. These are relationships that you want to build for 15, 20, maybe 30, 40 years, so that you are the trusted real estate agent. Because anytime, on average, people move. I've heard varying statistics on this, whether it's 7 or 9 years. You got 7? Was that 7? Okay, I couldn't see. So the average person's they sell their house or do a real estate transaction every 7 years. So, over the life of a relationship, you can do 3, 4, 5 deals, and then they have family members, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles. So you really want to cultivate those relationships, no matter where you pick them up. If it's expired or withdrawn or wherever you're picking them up, put them in this database that we're talking about and keep them fresh.
And while we're talking about database and like how to organize that on the technology side, again, comment down below on what we're using technology-wise, and we'll be happy to share that with you.
Yeah, what's your favorite CRM, and what we can tell you also what we're using.
Okay, I want to go back to deal flow and prospecting because I want to talk about exactly what to say. So I already mentioned to comment on the scripts, our listing presentation, all that stuff, but I want to go into an example for you guys on a role play scenario of a cold call that I would be making to an expired listing. I'll be making the phone call. You're going to be the seller. Okay.
Oh,
okay?
I love this.
Make this as hard as you want to make.
Okay. All right.
So typically when we do a role play, I'm going to start with saying ring, ring. He'll answer. So here we go. Ring, ring.
Wait. So is my house expired?
Your house is expired.
Okay. So for those of you that haven't ever worked expireds or withdrawns, when a house expires, the seller is going to be inundated with real estate agents making phone calls because it's released on the MLS. There's providers out there that scrape the internet. I don't know if that's the right word, but they scrape the internet for different phone numbers.
Skip trace.
What's that called?
Skip trace.
Skip trace, whatever that means. But they try to get the number for the seller. The sellers, the morning the houses expire, are generally inundated with 20, 30, maybe 50 phone calls, depending on what area you're in. So here we go. My house expires. I got 50 phone calls coming in. Ring, ring, ring. I'm annoyed because my phone is ringing off the hook.
But I'm calling at 7 a.m. to get ahead of this.
Matt's calling. He's going to be the third person that calls.
Okay, ring, ring.
Hello.
Todd, Matt Kemp's here with Lone Wolf Realtor Group. How are you doing this morning?
Matt, why is everyone calling my phone this morning?
I'm sure this can be so frustrating, right?
It is so frustrating. Can you tell me what's happening?
Yes. So long story short, your listing was with Billy Bob previously. Your agreement has expired with Billy Bob, so there's a notification that was sent out throughout all the agents on the MLS that your listing has now expired. Were you aware of that?
Well, no. Why did he put my number out there? What did Billy Bob do?
No, there's multiple services that we can grab where public data is available, where your number might be out there. Again, I want to be quick here. I don't want to waste your time. What I'm trying to figure out here is how I can best assist you and help you through the process. Where were you looking to move to if we were able to sell that property at 123 Main Street?
Well, God, man, it's been so frustrating. We were planning on moving to Phoenix, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get this house sold. So we might have to, stick around for a while.
What was driving you to Phoenix?
I like to play golf. I love Scottsdale. My wife, she's a nurse, so she can, kind of work anywhere. And I'm semi-retired. So, yeah, I want to go play golf in Phoenix. But, God, I can't get this house sold.
So if I was able to bring you a full price offer and be able to get you to move over to Phoenix, would you be able to say, yeah, I would love to entertain that?
Well, Matt, you really think you can give me a full price offer?
I work with multiple different buyers, and I wouldn't want to waste your time with a random buyer coming to your house. What I like to do is set up a time for us for 10 to 15 minutes to go through the entire process of what that might look like for that buyer. I have today at 4 or tomorrow at 3. What time will work best for you?
To what? What are we doing here?
I need to come basically take a peek at your property, view it to make sure it fits exactly what I'm seeing on the MLS.
Do you have a buyer?
I have multiple different buyers. I have about 1,500 different buyers that have been circling through our entire database. So there might be a specific buyer that might be there. But again, I don't mean to say this in a bad way. Unfortunately, your agent never called me. I'm a listing agent, and that's what I focus on. And I always call as many different agents as I can for relationship basis. Unfortunately, your agent never called me, so I never knew about your listing.
Okay. So wait, what times did you say?
We can do tomorrow. We can either do tonight at 4 or tomorrow at 3. What time works best for you?
Okay, let me check with my wife. I'm gonna have to call you back.
You know what? Let's make sure we pencil this in because I want to make sure that nothing else gets blocked off. I'm going to throw today at 4, and then I'll shoot you a text here afterwards, but plan on me coming by tomorrow at 4 unless you tell me otherwise.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
All right, click. All right, so I got the appointment. And Todd was way harder than actually most people are. But that would be kind of like a scenario you'd have to run through. And the idea what I was trying to do there was there's certain words that I keep saying, or this guy named Phil Jones, who wrote a book called Magic Words and Exactly What to Say.
The coach of the Lakers?
No, different Phil. Oh, what was his actual last name? It's not Jones.
It's not Jones, it's Phil, we'll think about it. We'll keep going.
Well, Phil Jones wrote 3 books that I've read. He may have written more, but he wrote Magic Words. He wrote Exactly What to Say and Exactly What to Say to Real Estate Agents. I can leave those down below in the comments for you to grab those links, or shoot us a DM and we'll send over a copy through Spotify for you guys. What I try to get there though is all I was trying to do there. I'm not trying to sell his house on that call. I'm trying to set the appointment up to go meet with him, because the conversion rate from meeting someone in person to actually getting the listing is going to be much higher than just trying to sell myself over the phone. I'm also going to encourage you to join a morning call that we have. It's 8 a.m. every single day. The coach who actually trained us on all this, his name is John Dietz. And this is kind of where I've learned a bunch of things I've been doing in our business. Every single day, 8 o'clock, feel free to join that call. Shoot us a message, and we'll send you the link to be able to join that call as well.
John Dietz is the man.
All right, so we talked about deal flow, we talked about prospecting, we talked about cold calls. Is there anything else in deal flow and prospecting that we want to kind of chat about?
No, I think that, we'll add more content as we move along here, but because I think you're, helping agents learn to say the appropriate things and handle these objections that I just gave Matt is massively important. I think we can do an entire podcast on that.
Agreed. All right, let's kind of dive into our strategy session now. What some might call buyer consultation. I just changed the verbiage. I like the sound of buyer strategy session a little bit more because that's basically what it is. So let's kind of hop in what you think on that. How does that run? What's the focus? What's the main objective?
I think the high levels are, right? Like you need to have a process. Whatever works for you as a real estate agent. And I always use this analogy, right? If your ankle hurts, you don't call your doctor and say, "Hey doc, meet me at the OR. My ankle hurts, let's have a surgery." You're gonna go to the doctor, you're gonna meet with their person at the front, then you're gonna meet with their nurse practitioner, and then you're gonna actually meet with the doctor for maybe 6 to 10 minutes, right? And then they're gonna maybe refer you somewhere else, or whatever happens from there. The same process is true with the real estate agent. If you wanna be a professional, you need to not just drop what you're doing and run out and try to show somebody a house. Also, the Department of Justice has also implemented some plans for us as real estate agents that we need to now have a signed buyer's representation agreement. So what I like to do, and what I would encourage you as a real estate agent to do, is to slow down, have that person meet with you on Zoom or Google or in person at a coffee shop. Not only is that safer than going to a house with a stranger, but it also sets you up as the professional. If you're a professional real estate agent, let's act like it, right? Like no more, you're not just a commodity. If you're a good real estate agent, act like it. So, and if you have a process and they don't like your process, you don't have to work with that person. As real estate agents, we've been people pleasers for way too long, right? Like how many times have agents gone out and been a tour guide, or somebody calls and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about Nashville, Austin, and Phoenix." And you spend a weekend away from your kids and your family, driving them around to different subdivisions that are 50 miles apart.
Especially in Austin.
Yeah, especially in Austin. So have a buyer's or a buyer consultation. What do you call it now?
Strategy session.
Buyer strategy session. Have things listed out, and we're going to go into this in more detail in one of the future podcasts. But have a very specific way to move through how the transaction happens and how the transaction goes down and how the process is in your specific area in your specific state. Matt and I are in Texas. Things are different here in Texas than they are in New York and in California and anywhere else in the nation.
Agreed.
Texas is, don't mess with Texas, kids.
The one thing across the board, though, on the buyer side of things, is getting that representation agreement signed before you go out and tour any properties, because now it's a required thing that we have. I think it's actually one of the best things that we could have had, because now you are set for success from the time that they sign that representation agreement, and then hopefully use the right form, and you have sole representation of that client. So now when you go look at houses, you know that you're the only agent they're working with, unless
And that you're going to get paid.
bingo, exactly. Okay, one more thing on the buyer strategy session. When you're making that phone call to set that up, when you're back to almost like your deal flow portion, when you're making that phone call and you're saying, hey, you know what, I'd love to set up a time with you, John, at 4 o'clock at my office or Zoom or Google, whatever you end up deciding, to have that conversation, it is purely to set the appointment. You are not closing them on that call. It is, you are setting an appointment, and that is all you're doing, okay? You're gonna provide them all the material, you're gonna provide them all the details, you're gonna provide them strategy, you're gonna do all that portion in your strategy session, which we'll do on another video. But for the sake of this conversation, to your deal flow, back to your strategy session now, the main focus of scheduling that strategy session is to get the appointment. You're not talking about anything else.
Yeah, I think going back to what we're talking about, you as the agent, you control the process. The buyer gets to control the decision. Buyer or seller they get to control the decision. Same on the listing side. You have a very specific process. The buyer or seller, they get to make the decisions.
Bingo. That's a great segue. We're gonna go into our fourth item, listing presentation.
Listing presentation, my favorite.
Okay, you started up then.
Oh, now the pressure's on me. So same thing with the buyer presentation, and Matt and I are going to have more and more podcasts about how to really hone in your listing presentation. But you need to have, going back to this, there's 5 things: mindset, deal flow, buyer presentation, and seller presentation. So my seller presentation is, what's that? Oh, and number 5. I think it's only 4, but Matt's throwing in 5. And this is the Matt and Todd show, not the Todd and Todd show. So Matt can throw in number 5. What's
Local Economist of Choice.
Local Economist of Choice, which is super valid, by the way, just giving you a little bit of shit. So the buyer presentation, one of the things...
the seller.
Oh, excuse me, the seller presentation. One of the things that I've seen agents do is all of a sudden, out of the blue, they get a call from a friend, a neighbor, somebody that says, hey, I want to sell my house, come over at 4. And their mind explodes because they don't know what to do. They don't have a listing presentation put together. They don't know how to present the comps to the seller. They don't have anything, they don't have a process to help that person. They just kind of wing it. And they go over there and they take their laptop or their book like Matt has, and they start flipping through their little marketing presentation. Well, guess what? Who's not gonna sign with you? Chances are that seller. So if you have a very specific process, and again, Matt and I are gonna have more and more podcasts on this. This is my favorite. If you want to DM us right here, I'll send you my listing presentation, and I'll send you a invitation to our next listing list. I call it it's a list last seminar. I'd love for you to join us. So you have to have this specific process in place in order to be a strong listing agent.
Agreed. And when you're talking about, let's go back to the deal flow to the listing appointment. Same idea as the buyer. You are not talking about what's going to be talking about during the appointment. You are setting the appointment, and that's all you're doing. We'll give you one kind of key takeaway inside that listing presentation that we talk about in our specific listing presentation. There's going to be 3 things that may happen out of that listing presentation. And I'm talking to you as if you were the seller. 1, you're going to love me. You're going to want to work with me. That's fantastic. 2, you're not going to like me. That's not so great. And we're not going to work together. 3, I'm going to have to respectfully decline your listing because I can't exceed your expectations and match your goals. Let that sink in for a second. That is something that's part of our listing presentation, and you're going to be able to see what that looks like in the next videos.
And so back to that a little bit, like I think that, having that expectation that you're going in and you are the listing agent, you're interviewing that seller too, right? They're interviewing you, but you're also interviewing them. And especially in today's market, I'm not working with triers. I want to work with sellers, people who want to try to sell their house at a price that is beyond what the market's going to dictate. I'm not working with that person. I don't want that person. I'm working with sellers. I'm not working with triers.
Well, same way as him saying that we don't list homes, we sell homes. So I'm not here to try to list your property and stack listings. That's not my plan or our plan. Our plan is to sell property, and to be able to sell your property, it does usually have to get listed. But the focus is we're selling property, not listing. Do you agree?
Oh, I more than agree. There's nothing worse than a Sunday night phone call from a seller who hasn't had a showing in 2 weeks, and they want to know what the hell's going on with their house, and you don't have anything to say to them.
Speaking of content, let's go over how to do a price reduction in another video.
Ooh, yeah, price reductions, guys. We'll work on that.
Okay, let's go on the 5th one that I added on. You have to be the local economist of choice. Todd, to you, what does that mean?
Great question, Matt. I don't know. This is a new concept to me, But I do think that you're hitting the nail on the head. I do think that this is a really good number 5. It's you have to know your market. And if you're a new real estate agent, I would say take a 1 square mile and learn everything you can about what's happening in that 1 square mile. You'll know more than 99% of all real estate agents in your area. Just with 1 mile.
So a few things to kind of keep in track of the data that you should know on a weekly basis. Let's start with your average sales price. Let's go average price per square foot. How many months of inventory do you have? What's your average days on market? And if you can have the conversation of those 4 things, you're going to be able to have a much more, what's the word I want to use? Educated and informative conversation with your prospects and clients, that you're going to sound like you've been doing this for much longer than you have, or maybe you're experienced and you weren't doing this before and now you need to catch back up. This is a really easy way for you to have conversation when people do bring up real estate. This is going to go a little up and off track, but I don't bring up real estate to people when I'm just out talking with people. They'll let them bring it up to you. They're eventually going to know that you are a real estate agent.
I think everybody wants to know about the real estate market.
Correct.
And it goes like this. It essentially goes like this. Matt, man, it's so good to see you, man. How's work?
Good.
Good, man. How's the market?
You know what? Market actually depends on if you're buying or selling. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. If you're a seller right now in Austin, we got a little bit higher inventory than we used to. Right now, we're sitting right around 3.4 months of inventory. Our average days on market is 74 days. And our average sales price in Travis County alone right now is $595,000. We've dropped a little bit. But if you're on the buyer side of things, it's really great. Higher days on market means less seller demand. Higher seller demand, less buyer demand. So I'm able to get most likely below list price. I'm going to get some what's called seller concessions. We're going to be able to get you a rate buy down and customize it to kind of how you want to. If this is something you're interested in, if this is something you are interested in, we can set up what I call a buyer strategy session. We can walk through all that stuff.
See how great that is? Like Matt already in, 30 seconds, illustrates that he's a professional versus the real estate agent. Oh yeah, it's good, man, it's good. It sucks, just one sentence or one adjective explanations.
But on the flip side, blah is better than blah, blah, blah.
True, facts.
So I may have gone a little long on that one. I could have done like maybe a quick, short little we got high inventory right now. It's great for buyers, it's tough for sellers. And I could have left it at that and then piqued his interest. But those are kind of conversations that you can have and what they should end up looking like.
Yeah, that was really well done. So the Local Economist of Choice, really well done.
Appreciate it. So focus on those key metrics, those 4 metrics, back to square foot, price per square foot, average list price, how many months of inventory you have, and how many days on market is average. If you can get those 4 key factors into your area you're specializing in, I got 3 areas that I know off the top of my head. I know them at all time. I have them in my MLS. I have a hot sheet. I run that data weekly, and I'm able to have conversation when it does pop up. Because when I do need to have those conversations, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You can set that up in your hot sheet in your local MLS, so you can see it on a daily basis, and you can see those increases or decreases, whichever way it happens to be trending.
And then we'll do a full video on how to become the local economist of choice, where we get very detailed, showing you the CMA software we use, the actual formulas to create on how you figure out how many months of inventory you have, and we'll explain that in a much further depth in another video.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, let's kind of conclude this all up. So we had mindset, we had deal flow, which is prospecting, we had buyer presentation, we had listing presentation, and we had local economist of choice. All of those things wrapped up together is kind of what the agent in 2025 is going to need to accelerate at a higher level. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're here to be your guides. And again, I'm Matt Kemps with Lone Wolf Realty Group, and this is
Todd Bailey, the founder of the collective at EXP. Go out there and be the local professional.
Thank you. Good job.
Not bad, right?
Not bad for our first one.
See how long it was.
30 minutes?